Hey guys, Vladimir here with Desktop Mix. I wanted to do a follow-up video on the last tutorial I did on aligning chamfered faces because I got some really good comments there and suggestions on ulterior ways to go about it. So I wanted to try those methods here that were mentioned in the comments. So just a quick summary, I've got these two fittings here. They're hydraulic fittings. And I want to be able to align them so that this chamfered face here will come in and connect to this one. So once they're threaded, to give me the exact distance these come in contact. So it may seem like a simple problem, and normally it is if you have flat faces, because if I go to modify align, right, I can take, for example, this flat face and connect it to this flat face. And then boom, you're done. But it's a problem with these chamfered faces because if I try to do that same alignment tool, one, if I go to select it, you can see I've got multiple selection points. I could do the bottom, the middle, or the top, depending what I want to reference. But no matter each one I choose, for example, I'll do the top to the top of this chamfer here, click OK. You can see we get an overlap there. So it doesn't align it face to face. It wants to align it to either match this bottom edge, the top edge, or the middle. So it doesn't really work out that way. And if I grab my inspect tool and try to measure between these two faces here and say, let me get a measurement and then move it, the problem is Fusion gives you a distance that goes from the top edge to the bottom edge, and it's also an angled distance, so it doesn't really help. All right, so just a quick recap of the problem there. If you look in my previous video, I show how you can use the contact sets tool in Fusion that allows you to go ahead and move both components, and Fusion will automatically stop them once there's a collision, so you can get that perfect alignment that you need. All right, so now with this video, I wanted to address a few of the comments there. So a couple of them that I wanted to look at. The first one is by Stephen Boyd 21, who has a really good solution here. And it's one of those that once I read it, it's kind of like, wait, why didn't I think of that? So with this solution, Stephen basically says, go ahead and align the bodies horizontally and then create a construction plane, come in and do a project intersect, and then project the chamfered edges, and then you can measure the distance. So, all right, let's go ahead and give that a shot here. So basically the first thing we need to do is align these to be vertical. A couple ways we can do that. We can either do a joint or a constrained components. In this case, I'll just go ahead and do a joint. Let's do a slider joint, and I'll just say center of this cylinder to the center of this one. Just referencing those edges, click OK. And now that's perfectly aligned. I can move that up and down. Where I move it doesn't matter. So right now I'm just gonna pick a position and then take a measurement. All right, to do that, I'm gonna follow Steven's steps here. I'm gonna create a sketch. Let's see, I'm on the right plane here. So let's go ahead and choose that plane, capture position. And in here, we're gonna go create, project, include, intersect. And I'm just gonna choose these chamfered faces here and click this one and this one here. And note that my dialog box, I have it set to selection filters as specified entities. Click OK. All right, let's go to a direct view. I'm going to untoggle the bodies here, and I end up with these projections. All right, so he says go ahead and create a line. So L for line. I'm going to go between what he suggested was the midpoint there. Go straight down and then grab a coincident constraint. Click it on the end of that line and then the projected edge there. And then go ahead and take this measurement here. In this case, I have 1.00628. Click to copy it, close. All right, so what I got to this point, a couple of things I was thinking about was, well, why does this have to be the midpoint? Because he specifically mentioned midpoint. And I think he was just making sure that when you do select a point here and you go straight down, you'll actually be able to hit this bottom chamfered projected line there. Because if I delete the midpoint, right, and I have this line here, I can just create another coincident constraint here between the endpoint of this vertical line to the chamfered projection there. And no matter where I move this up or down, I could in fact go away from the line because that coincident constraint will still pretend that line actually keeps going. And you can see here, if I go ahead and measure that line, it's going to be that same distance. So I just wanted to show that really you just need this to be coincident to both lines. All right, we've got that measurement copied to our clipboard. We're going to click Finish Sketch, And then I'm going to bring in these components here, and let's go ahead and do a move. So right click, move copy. I'm going to click on this bottom component, and then I'm just going to paste it in the Z direction, and then click OK. See that 1.00628, zoom in, perfect alignment there. And then we can take a measurement from flat surfaces as we did last time here. So click on inspect, bottom to the top here, distance 0.01229. And just as an aside, you can actually change how many significant figures you get here. If you go up to your preferences, go to your units and value display here, and you can see here in your general precision, you can change how many significant figures you want to show here. So if I change that to 3, click apply, okay, and let's go ahead and retake that measurement. That will go ahead and display it in the right significant figures you need. All right, just thought I'd show that. All right, so really great solution here by Stephen Boyd. So a big thank you to Stephen for commenting and showing this method that I wasn't even thinking about. Okay, so I'll show another solution here that I thought was also a really good one. And that one was from Christian Lahome. Christian also has an excellent YouTube channel showing Fusion tutorials, so definitely check out his channel. So the solution he says here is the new component constraints can handle this quite nicely. Tangents on the conical faces, align on the cylindrical faces, and angle between two hex flats to control the rotation. So let's give that a try. All right, so here he mentions using the constraint components, which is a relatively recent addition that Fusion did that gives you another option to align parts instead of having to only rely on joints. So I'm going to go ahead and just delete the last couple timeline features here. So we have this now freely moving, no joints applied. And let's give this a shot. So the first thing here he suggests is go to assemble, constraint components, and he says tangent on conical faces. So if we open our dialog box here, we have align, angle, center, and tangent. I'm going to click tangent, grab the conical faces here, one, and then the inside one here. And all right, so it just disappeared on me. And this, I actually had tried this attempt and it wasn't working for me. I'll show you why it disappeared. If I untoggle analysis here, you can see that it moved away from that section plane. But we get this weird situation here where this is moving. I can't see it from this view, so I'm gonna have to create a new section plane here so we can see it. So let's go ahead and go to inspect, section analysis. Let's choose this plane here. Click OK, and you can see what it's trying to do is it is aligning it, but it's aligning the outside of the faces. So if you follow this face here, it's trying to align it to the outside of this chamfered face here. And so I did get stuck on this and I wasn't able to get it to work. And I was about to write Christian back and say, can you explain this? Because it's not working for me. But then I realized if you open this dialog box here, you have an option to flip the edge here. So if you hover over it, it says flips the orientation of the selected geometry. So if I click to flip it and then click OK, so that doesn't quite work. It flips back. I kept playing around with it and I realized order of operations is important here. So let me delete that. Let me just go back to where we kind of started. So I'm undoing, go back to here. This is not constrained at all, it freely moves. Let's go back to assemble, constraint components. And first I'm gonna start with an alignment here. So we're gonna do a vertical alignment. I'm gonna click on this interior face here of the cylinder and align it to the top component. Click OK. Now you can see that has a similar effect as when I put that slider joint. So this is constrained to move straight up and down in the central z-axis here. Okay, we're gonna open up that timeline feature. So here, yeah, be careful, you don't have to go back and do a new constraint components and add another feature to your timeline, you can just open up the existing one from your timeline and then click the plus sign to add another constraint. Because the way constraint components work is that you basically add these constraints to start limiting the degrees of freedoms here. Now for the second constraint here, I am going to do the tangent constraint here. So I'll click on it, click on the chamfered face here, and now click on the top one as well. And here's another part I was getting stuck. So you can see there I got an error and I'm not sure what's going on. It doesn't let you click OK, but it goes back to that flip option because it's trying to create that same constraint it was doing before, but it's unable to do it because it can't move the part to align it to the outside of the chamfered face here. So all you have to do again is just click flip, and then that allows it to work. And you can see there now we have those two constraints, the align and the tangent constraint. And then we can take this, well, visually we can see it looks like it's working. But we can go ahead and take that measurement, and then let's just measure from the bottom of this flat to the top of that flat, and we got that 0.012 inch distance. So perfect. The other cool thing with this option here is we can, you know, if you wanted to align the threads here, you can just start rotating this because we didn't lock the rotational constraint. So we can just rotate that. If I uncheck analysis, you can see what I'm doing here, and it's just spinning it to align the threads if you want to do that. And as Christian mentioned, we can also lock that in place by going back to our constraint components. We can add an angled constraint here. Again, here you have to be careful with the order you do things. So first you want to click on the plus sign telling it you want to add another constraint, and this time we're going to go angle. And we can just say lock these two faces together in whatever angle you want. You can paste that angle in here and then click OK. And now it's fully constrained. We can't move it up and down, side to side, and we can't rotate it. So you can see that analysis still shows that perfect alignment here. All right, so that is it. I wanted to show both approaches. I'm really liking this format of doing a video and then getting your suggestions and then coming back and trying out those techniques because I'm learning new things also. So I really appreciate everyone who's participating in the comments. Let me know your feedback on what you think about this series. And if there's anything you want me to cover, or if you have even more approaches, leave them in the comments. And as always, if you have any questions, leave those in the comments as well. All right, if you'd like to support my channel, check out the links below. I've got some great resources listed there, including my free constraints cheat sheet that lists all the constraints and how to use them in Fusion, and a new free mini course that I've created. And if you're an educator, make sure to check out my classroom license to my Foundations of 3D Design bundle. All right, guys, I will see you in the next one.